Oh, my friends, they're at it again. Terrorists doing what terrorists do, and liberals doing what liberals do. God help us. This is Howard Riell. The show is called Real Truth. The call-in number, 877-254-7524. From Breitbart, police arrested a shirtless man on a side road running parallel with Paddington Station in central London on Monday afternoon when he reportedly attacked a police officer and shouted, "Allahu Akbar." Related item from the Express. Theresa May, Prime Minister of Britain, vowed to stamp out Islamophobia after the Finsbury Park mosque attack as Jeremy Corbyn arrived at the scene to console victims. The Prime Minister said there had been, quote, far too much tolerance of extremism in recent years, including anti-Muslim hatred. Quote, the government will act to stamp out extremist and hateful ideology, both across society and on the internet, unquote. My friends, there's something I used to tell people who had their heads up their butts. I used to say to them, you're not going to find the answer because you don't even know the question. Theresa May, Angela Merkel, other leaders across Europe have no idea what the question is, and so the chances of their finding an answer are nil. The question isn't how can we keep people from saying nasty things about Muslims. The question is how do we prevent Muslims from murdering innocent men, women, and children? In liberal Europe, they won't even countenance that question, let alone ponder it, let alone get to work on solving it. Well, I haven't got an overabundance of sympathy for European governments. Europe hunted, murdered, tried to exterminate the Jewish people for nigh on 20 centuries, and so what they have wrought, they can own. I'm worried about here in America. Are we smarter than Europe? Do we have more of a survival instinct? Will we prevent the problem before it puts a knife at our throats? Or will we play the same brain-dead PC games that Europe is playing as they disintegrate? As they begin to be covered by a swarm of Islam, which will turn out eventually all the lights. Theresa May, Angela Merkel, and their ilk, they haven't got a clue. Just like liberal politicians in this country haven't got a clue. That's why it's up to you and me and all of us to save the day, put this country back in the right direction, and keep it safe and sane and secure for our children and our grandchildren. Folks, look at it this way. If we don't do it, who the hell's going to do it? It's Monday. It's Real Truth. We'll be back.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution.
If catastrophe struck, would your family be prepared? Are you confident you wouldn't react in a panic? Is there one place to get all of your emergency supplies? Ferris Survival encourages you to have confidence through preparation, not panic through crisis. Ferris Survival, located at 3366 South Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing quality, realistic preparedness supplies at an affordable price. Go online, stop by, or call 303-781-0343. Ferris Survival. The American Freedom Network is not funded or supported by special interest groups or government programs. The American Freedom Network is not sponsored by advertisers demanding content or programming control. The American Freedom Network is solely funded by you, the listener. Please help keep the American Freedom Network on the air by purchasing one of our sponsors' fine products or by calling 1-800-205-6245 to make a donation. The American Freedom Network needs your help.
All right, my friends, welcome back. Howard Riell. The show is called Real Truth. You know, no violence against innocent people is excusable. When that violence is meant to intimidate people and shut down free speech and free expression, then it's even more insidious. Here's Ann Coulter on the radio just a couple of days ago talking about this explosion of violence against conservatives with the hope of silencing us. Here's a spoiler. Ain't gonna happen. Here's Ann Coulter.
Best-selling author Ann Coulter. Ann Coulter, of course, has written a fabulous book. It's a big bestseller called In Trump We Trust. And you get her new column. Go to AnnCoulter.com and you get everything there, or follow her on Twitter. Ann Coulter, what do you think?
Well, this may violate the Trump's encouragement that we be united. But man, liberals are violent. And the violence since Trump's election has gotten totally out of control. This is not completely out of left field. It is a left-winger, something NBC is refusing to report. Though they are.
Is that true? Really?
Yeah, they're mentioning his social media page. Well, you can go to his Facebook page. Bernie Sanders supporter, democratic socialism in 3 words. We the people.
And he has some
1976.
He has some anti-Trump stuff on it.
Yeah, and MSNBC will, or NBC will not report it. So I was just tweeting what this is: how to write a mainstream media story. Okay, the shooting facts are white, male, gun, left winger. Which facts go in the lead, and which facts do you completely leave out?
Yeah, you pointed out something once. Whenever they mention Fox, they always say conservative network Fox. But whenever they mention MSNBC, it never says liberal network MSNBC.
No, but it's worse than that. There's no parallelism here. I was thinking about this with, take something that is, Fox is a news station. Breitbart is opinion journalism, always being attacked as, alt right. And what do they have on that? They have some headlines, some very funny headlines, I might add, mostly for Milo columns. But they don't do anything like this. Here, the media is perfect. I mean, it's as if they're gathering in the conference room. Which facts will we use? Oh, and today's shooter is Muslim, male, gun, jihadist. Which facts do we use? Which facts do we withhold from the public? Do they think we're never going to find out?
Yeah.
Are they sitting back at NBC saying, well, at some point we're going to have to mention he's a Bernie supporter, aren't we here? No. It is carefully calibrated. It is planned. There is not lying like this coming from, as far as I know, any conservative media. They may concentrate on conservative stories. They may give you conservative opinion. These are news networks crafting the news to push a particular agenda. Everyone's forgotten this. Will be the thesis of my column this week. At the third debate, boy, people, you forget what happens, a week later, especially with liberals pumping out all this fake news constantly and then returning to it. At the third debate, Chris Wallace asked Donald Trump, but not Hillary Clinton, something that I pointed out with annoyance at the time, will you accept the results of the election should you lose? And Trump said, I think quite reasonably, well, we'll have to wait to see what happens. The entire universe exploded, the media, every newspaper in the country, MSNBC spent a week. He's trampling on our Constitution, he's ripping up democracy. This is the most direct assault on democracy this nation has ever seen. We must accept the peaceful results of a transition of power. Which side now has refused to accept the results of the election? 100% the media, 100% the Democratic Party. Hillary Clinton, his opponent, has announced she's joined the resistance. The resistance, Mark Simone. That is a militaristic term. If Trump had lost the election and later turned around and said, I am joining the resistance, that would be a dog whistle to the militias, to right-wing fascists. And in fact, we have left-wing fascists armed, masked, going around in groups, beating up conservatives, police being told to stand down so that the left can beat up conservatives. I'm attaching a map of violence against Trump supporters. Do you know Scott Baio, who spoke at Trump's convention, was attacked by a woman at his child's school a few months ago, I think it was? physically attacked by a woman, the wife of the drummer for the Chili Peppers, grabbing him, pushing him, and screaming, well, I can't say it, but grab her P-word, grab her P-word, grab her P-word, grab her P-word, over and over and over again. I don't know, he's an actor. Lots of people know who he is. I didn't when I met him in Hollywood.
But very interesting.
Other story. Do you even know that story? And that is minor compared to the hospitalizations, the blood. This is not just a bloodless coup that the left is pulling off through the bureaucracy, through the Democrats, and mostly through the media, but they are trying to incite violence against both Trump and his supporters.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I don't know anybody heard that Scott Baio story. And this James Hodgkinson, the shooter, his Facebook page, making it clear he's a liberal Democrat. And a lot of people are printing out that page because you can assume Facebook will take it down pretty soon.
Yes, and the media simply won't admit it. It's Orwellian, the world we are living in.
Absolutely correct, my friends. And by the way, George Orwell wrote 1984. I've told you on this show before, if you haven't read it, you got to read it. Item from the Daily Caller: various black groups are taking back abandoned buildings and parking lots Monday in an effort to celebrate the day slavery ended. The Movement for Black Lives, an umbrella group for various black organizations, is partnering with the Black Land and Liberation Initiative to organize people in 40 cities around the world to get back 40 acres of land, reports Color Lines. Quote, "We're taking back land that should be used for the good of the people. Land that has historically been denied access to black people. Through these actions, we will confront the institutions that have been built off the extracted wealth of black bodies and black land, and the individuals who've profited from them," the group said on its website. Unquote. My friends, I'm reading a book now about the end of Europe. One of the things that's killing Europe is its increasing balkanization. It's coming apart at the seams. Well, that's happening here in America. Different factions are splintering off. They're having black graduations, Latino graduations, gay graduations. Different groups are balkanizing here in America, and the center cannot hold. The center cannot hold. What do you say we come together as Americans? Don't tell me, let me guess. That's racist, Islamophobic, homophobic, misogynistic, right? Got it. We'll be back.
With Bio Superfoods, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Women, children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfoods from VitalAge.com. And now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with four of the most nutrient algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has zero toxicity and is safe for you and your friends. Work and order your Bio Superfood formulas at VitalAge.com. Spelled VitalAge.com. VitalAge.com. Or call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. VitalAge. The independent organic. Great Plains Power has been providing reliable electrical power systems in the Rocky Mountains since 1962. Our systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom-tailored capabilities of modest and emergency lighting all the way to commercial scale power. Great Plains Power is a full-service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to greatplainsolar.com.
All right, guys, we're back. Howard Riell, Real Truth. You know the score by now. I've been on the air, good Lord, almost 9 full years. Hopefully, I've made a difference. Here's someone who makes a difference. Judge Janine Pirro. She was kicking ass on her show about 48 hours ago. Let's hear what she had to say.
Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Janine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, and Congressman Ron DeSantis are on deck tonight, plus Street Justice from Shakespeare in the Park. But first, my opening statement. There's something that's not being talked about, and right now, it is the biggest danger to our country. A subtle plot by the GOP to help bring down the President of the United States and bring the establishment back into power. The belief, if done quickly enough, they'll still be in power and there'll be sufficient time to recover to promote their favorite son as candidate for president in 2020. And the Democrats, whether you like them or not, are doing their job. They're fighting, they're resisting, and they're all on one page. Curious. Other than Newt Gingrich, few, if any, Republican politicians vociferously supporting their president. Can you think of who in the Republican establishment is outraged at what is going on with their president? And whether Republicans agree with Donald Trump or not, that's their job. Now, I'm not convinced all Democrats necessarily believe the hogwash that they're spouting, but they're doing whatever's necessary to destroy Donald Trump. And they are in unison, as the Republicans simply watch the Democrats railroad their president. So I ask myself, why? Why would Republicans lie down when they have the White House, the Senate, and the House? Curiously, it's the same question I asked during the run-up to the presidential election. So I say to myself, why would Republicans try to sabotage their own frontrunner and risk a Democrat winning the White House? And I keep coming up with the same answer. The Republican establishment, elected officials, and party leaders are in bed with the Democrats. So if Hillary wins, nothing's lost for them. It's business as usual. Business as usual. How sweet it is. The Republican establishment not fighting for their commander-in-chief as day after day they watch him being savage, forcing him to defend himself and run the country. Think about it. If he's knocked out, the succession is clear and things go back to the way they were. No? Then where was the outrage when Kathy Griffin proudly holds the bloody decapitated head of the president? Where is the outrage against Shakespeare in the Park, where a Donald Trump lookalike is beaten, kicked, and stabbed to death? Where was the outrage as the left silenced the right, whether it be in an academic setting like Berkeley or a ballpark in Virginia? Instead, the establishment politicians agree to play ball. A metaphor for exactly what is going on in Washington. Where's the outrage as the left colludes with the press? When people like Jim Comey leak federal records to the New York Times to get special counsel and wins? He not only wins, he gets a dear friend, a literal comrade in arms during the Bush administration to do the deed. The special counsel is supposed to assess Comey's credibility versus the president's credibility. Would you say that's a conflict? Would you say that's an automatic disqualification, given their personal and political relationship? And Mueller, he keeps appointing people who not only support Democrats, but dig deep in their pockets to give to the Democrats. One actually worked for the Clinton Foundation. You don't think these people have an agenda? Hey, listen up, Republicans. You're the ones in power. Where's the investigation of Bill Clinton, the husband of a target of an active criminal investigation, meeting with the Attorney General and Loretta Lynch just days before her scheduled meeting with the FBI? Indeed, Clinton wanted to quash Hillary's investigation. Certainly a hell of a lot more than there is to this pathetic, we're going to find collusion between Donald Trump and the Russians. Where's the investigation of the Clinton Foundation, an organized criminal enterprise parading as a 501c3 charity? Rumors that it paid for Chelsea Clinton's wedding and her apartment. A hell of a lot more than the hope of finding collusion between Donald Trump and the Russians. You want to talk Russia? Let's talk about Russia. Let's talk about the sale of 20% of our uranium to Russia and Hillary Clinton signing off on the deal. The Clinton Foundation, that slush fund for Hillary, receiving $140 million, and Bill Clinton getting more than twice or triple his normal speech fee. You're empowered, damn it. Do something. Pass something. Cut this on your big boy pants and act like you're in power. Act like you give a damn. And more importantly, convince us that you're not in on the effort to take down the President of the United States. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on my Facebook page or Twitter, #Judge Janine.
I'll tell you what I think. I think Judge Janine, as usual, is spot on. The sentiment that rocketed Donald Trump to the White House was the fact that Americans are fed up with government, specifically with Congress. They just won't do what they need to do. They simply won't. They refuse. They refuse to take action. They refuse to break the logjam. They refuse to be responsive to the people. Okay, now we've got Donald Trump in the White House, thank God, and Congress still can't be moved. Like a donkey that refuses to get up off his haunches. It will not do what it needs to do. They just won't. My friends, over the past few years, I've said on more than one occasion that I hope the day never comes when the sun comes up in the morning and we find a congressman or a senator hanging from a lamppost. Well, this jerk Hodgkinson, who shot at the Republican legislators at that practice with a baseball game, I condemn what he did 8,000,000%, but it is symptomatic of the frustration that we feel in this country. Yes, he was a Bernie supporter who wanted to kill a Republican. Yes, no question. But in general, that frustration, that feeling of impotence, of powerlessness to control our own destinies is growing. We finally have a president who wants to give the power of government back to the people. And he's getting just about no help, no support, no defense, only opposition. And whack-ball opposition. Not people who disagree with his methods because they're not working. His methods are working. And that's why they're resisting. That's why a piece of trash like Hillary Clinton declares she's part of the resistance. Well, she should go back under the rock she crawled under after the election. It's absolutely shocking and shameful. Let's go back to Judge Janine.
Joining me now, Congressman Ron DeSantis, a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Hello, Ron.
Hi, Judge.
All right. Congressman, I'm sorry. So, am I wrong?
Well, Judge, I got to tell you, if you look at what's been going on in the Congress with this Russia investigation, look, if you want to look at what Russia's up to, fine. But as you pointed out, this has been going on for months and months, and there's no evidence of any type of quote-unquote collusion. There's no reason why there would have been any collusion, and there's been more subpoenas issued by the Republican Congress for that investigation than there was for the Benghazi and Clinton Foundation matters combined. So I think we have to either put up or shut up, and if the committees still don't have any evidence of this, I think we can probably find better use of our time.
Well, you know what? You can panel a grand jury on a moment's notice. I used to do it all the time. How about looking into some of the things where there's more than just the thought of criminality? The statute of limitations hasn't passed on a lot of the stuff that the Clintons did. And I don't understand. I don't understand why Republican elected officials are not fighting harder, not dragging Loretta Lynch in before a committee. And I know Trey Gowdy, by the way, Trey's going to be in charge of oversight and government reform. He's a former DA, former prosecutor. He's the best.
Well, Loretta Lynch, even Dianne Feinstein, who's a liberal Democrat from California, be troubling. So we absolutely need to do that. And it's frustrating because there was no special counsel appointed for the Clinton email case when Bill Clinton's meeting with Loretta Lynch. They're talking about keeping her on as Attorney General, as you pointed out. And yet we have a special counsel for the Russia matter where there wasn't even a crime identified, and the special counsel regulations require that there's a crime identified.
Well, and collusion is not a crime, but you know what? Talk to me.
Well, Judge, this is...
My friends, you remember George Burns, right? He lived to be about 101. When he was nearing 100 or at 100, someone asked him, I have no idea why they asked him, they says, what's sex life at 100? He said it's like trying to push a rock up a hill with a rope. That pretty well describes the frustration that Americans have to deal with in trying to get Congress to act. Trump has given them a wonderful blueprint for action, and he's leading the team, and the team, Congress, Senate, they won't follow. The Democrats have taken themselves out of the game. They're sitting with their arms crossed. They're not going to do a thing. Which means you people who are voting for Democrats must be pretty stupid if you're planning on voting for them again. The Republicans are also not doing a thing. Because doing what's good for the country is not what's good for their pockets and their careers. They're lazy, entitled elitists who profit from problems, not from solutions. And I understand America's anger. I feel it myself. Item from the Daily Caller. French police evacuated the Champs-Élysées in central Paris Monday after an armed man crashed a car packed with explosives into a police van. The driver was knocked unconscious by the crash and later died from his injuries. No civilians or law enforcement were hurt. Police closed the street but said the situation was under control. Stop. It is very, very far from under control. France is being eaten up like the Ebola virus eats away at your flesh. France is being eaten up by Islam. So the guy who drove this van may have died. But how many Muslims are there in France? How many Muslims are there who love France and want to be French? I'll give you a spoiler answer. There are none. Muslims in country after country after country after country after country will not assimilate. They just don't want to. Like trying to get Congress to act. They don't want to. So no. Things in France are not under control. It's fine by me if France burns, but that portends trouble ahead for the rest of Europe and then, by extension, for America and for Israel. Someone, at some point, has got to put his foot down and say the advance of the Muslim army and the worldwide jihad stops here. They won't do it in Europe. They won't do it in Israel. Will we do it here in America? It's an important question because if not your life, certainly the lives of your children and grandchildren will hinge on this question. Will we stop the metastasizing of Islam here in America, or will we play the same PC game we've been playing and say, it'll be okay, all religions are the same? We watched the ensuing horror sweep across Europe. It's a wake-up call for us. Are we going to wake up? Friends, I'm doing the best I can to see to it that it happens. Let's take a commercial break. Real Truth continues. Go nowhere.
EOR associates the book. I want you to remember your life began at conception and so does the life of every yet to be born person. baby and mother both lose with 1 in 3 women against choose abortion. Former abortion doctor Nathan said people do not understand that there are thousands of serious physical complications from abortion every year. Abortion crises include severe guilt, depression, stress, anxiety disorder, sleep disturbance, suicide, violent behavior, stability, increased risk of miscarriage and delivery complications. International Journal of Epidemiology reported abortion increased breast cancer risk by 90%. Every hopeless baby has the right to life, too. Life-giving message is brought to you by TLR Associates of Boulder, providing a job well done for your homework with signs, stucco, stone, and brick. Call TLR Associates of Boulder, 303-921-3310. TLR Medallion branded stucco protection serves the Boulder and northern Colorado area. Chip. Paying 1, 2, 5, or 4 nutritional supplements, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Women, children, even Olympic athletes, the world over discovered Bio Superfood from BioH.com. And now it's just 1 nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products, the most with 4 of the most nutritious in algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain. Help with focus, memory, ability, and food. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood. Toxicity and is safe for you and your family. And order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioH.com. Spelled BIOAGE.com. BioH.com. Or call 772-89116. 772-888-9116. BioH.
The Lord leaves the counsel of the nations to nothing. He makes the plans of the people of no effect. The counsel of the Lord stands forever, the plans of his heart to all generations. Blessed is the nation whose God is Lord. The people he has chosen as his own.
Let me tell you what, as of 10 o'clock last night,
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. This is the America News Network.
All right, guys, welcome back to Real Truth. Howard Riell. You're reading a lot, you're hearing a lot about Megyn Kelly's interview with Alex Jones. I've got a lot to say about the subject. I'm sure you do too. I'm going to throw it over instead to Ben Shapiro, who's got his take on whether what's happening is right or wrong, justified, overblown, or not. Here's Ben Shapiro.
Megyn Kelly is being raked over the coals because she had the temerity to do an interview with Alex Jones. And this interview with Alex Jones, it's pretty clear that she's taking a very adversarial position with Alex Jones, as well she should, okay? For people who don't know that much about Alex Jones, I've mocked him on the program before. Alex Jones is a wild conspiracy theorist. He suggested that the Sandy Hook massacre was a false flag, that the victims were actors. He said that 9/11 was an inside job, that the U.S. government was basically covering for the Saudis. He said the Boston Marathon bombing was a false flag. He said the Orlando nightclub jihadi attack was a false flag, too. He rants about how the government is pursuing animal-human hybrids and using chemicals in water to turn the frogs gay. They turn the frickin' frogs gay! He thinks the government controls the weather. He promoted Pizzagate. He had to walk that one back a little bit. He calls Bill Gates a eugenicist because Bill Gates, or his mom, I think, once gave money to Planned Parenthood, but he calls him a eugenicist and thinks not just that Planned Parenthood is eugenics and he is involved in Planned Parenthood, but that he's pursuing some sort of global attempt at eugenics across the world. The list goes on and on. Jones is actually so crazy that his own lawyer was forced to argue in a custody hearing that Jones was playing a role on radio and TV so that he could avoid the implication, which is that Jones is actually like that in real life, so he wouldn't lose custody of his kids. So why is Kelly interviewing this guy? Well, there are a lot of people saying Kelly should not interview Jones because you're just giving him credibility, you're just giving him air. Now, I I think there are certain people where the media should ignore them because they're just giving them air. I've used as an example Richard Spencer. That's because Richard Spencer is irrelevant. No one would know who Richard Spencer is except for the mainstream media coverage of Richard Spencer, which is designed to make it look as though Richard Spencer is a conservative who is representative of all conservatives. It's ridiculous, it's foolish. But Alex Jones is not Richard Spencer, not just because of viewpoint, but because Alex Jones is actually a very, very prominent figure. So prominent, in fact, that President Trump is very tight with Alex Jones. Okay, we know that Trump has praised Jones repeatedly. After Trump was elected, Jones came out in a video and said Trump had called him personally. In February, Alex Jones said that he talks on the phone with Trump and that he was, quote, taking on a new role as occasional information source and validator for the president. Jones's website, InfoWars, super high traffic website. They have some information that is true and they have some information that is not so true. Jones.
And my friends, that is exactly what I've said about Alex Jones. He's got a lot of information there that no one else will present, and it's important. And then, on the other hand, he goes off the deep end on some things, like Sandy Hook, like Pizzagate. So he's a loose cannon. I give him credit. He gets a lot of stuff right. But when he's wrong, woo, he's wrong. What about Megyn Kelly interviewing him? I think she absolutely is right to interview Alex Jones because Jones has carved out a prominent place in American culture today, right or wrong, good or bad. Millions of people go to his website and listen to him. And he's presenting good information, and so no, I don't see and asking someone questions is ever a bad thing. If you think the guy is wrong, if you think he's a whack job, make that plain in the interview. Bring it out, flesh it out. That's what journalists are supposed to do. Now the question is Megyn Kelly a journalist or just some hottie on TV? Well, that's a question we can debate. Let's go back to Ben Shapiro.
Also claims that Trump and his kids watch Jones' show regularly. In April, Jones said he received a call from Trump and who asked Alex Jones if he was happy with Trump's job performance. Just a couple of weeks ago, the Trump administration distributed a link from InfoWars to their entire email list. So that's not saying that Trump or Jones per se, except that Jones is relevant. He is clearly relevant. And it is not wrong for Megyn Kelly to grill someone who is relevant because he is tight with the President of the United States and has a massive following. These are important things for the American public to know. In the video segment that was already released to the public, it's right here.
They call you the most paranoid man in America. Is that true?
Absolutely not. A paranoid person will be hiding out in their house, not venturing out in public. I go out there on the street, battle Black Lives Matter, the communists, point blank range.
We talked controversies and conspiracies. 9/11.
Now, 9/11 was an inside job, but when I say inside job, it means criminal elements in our government working with Saudi Arabia and others wanted to frame Iraq for it. Just a fact.
Sandy.
My friends, hold on to your seats. If you're a longtime listener, this will not shock you. If you're a new listener, well, when I was asked to do this radio show by Michael Golden back in 2008, said he wanted a show about conspiracy. Okay. So I started researching. I read a great many books about 9/11. I watched documentaries and other videos about 9/11. I listened to interviews about 9/11. I read news pieces about 9/11. I had people on the show, experts, talking about 9/11. I visited websites about 9/11, and I'm here to tell you that Alex Jones gets that right. Criminal elements within our government perpetrated 9/11. Now, if you think that's crazy, I'm willing to go out on a limb here and suggest that you haven't done any research on it. Certainly not a fraction of the research that I've done on it. And I'm telling you that when you connect those dots, the picture forms before your eyes. All right, I've got about 2 minutes left. Let's go back to Shapiro.
Well, Sandy Hook's complex because I've had debates where we've devil's advocates said the whole story's true, and then I've had debates where I've said that none of it's true.
When you say parents faked their children's death, people get very angry.
Yeah, well, I know, but they don't get angry about the $500,000 dead Iraqis from the sanctions, or they don't get angry about all the illegal.
That's a dodge.
No,
She's right. It is a dodge, and it's not worthy of Alex Jones. Alex, if you believe that Sandy Hook was a false flag operation, say so and present your evidence. Just that simple. What Megyn Kelly's doing here, and I hate to defend Megyn Kelly, but it's not a hit piece, at least in this little clip that they're playing. She's asking the correct and appropriate questions, and Alex Jones dodged it, which I don't like.
What a dodge. The media never covers all the evil wars it's promoted. All the
That
big
doesn't
things.
excuse what you did and said about Newtown. You
But
know it.
here's the difference. I looked at all the angles of Newtown, and I made my statements long before the media even picked up on it. We didn't get any of the really important stuff.
What do you mean? We talked about all the important
Well,
stuff.
here's the big one they always make fun of me. You know, you probably want to throw this in there. 30 years ago, they began creating animal-human hybrids. Isn't that the big story Megyn Kelly should be
In that video segment, Kelly actually takes Jones to task. She actually says, when you say parents fake their children's death, people get very angry. And then Jones says something nonsensical about Iraqi war debt. And then she says that's misdirection, it's a dodge. That doesn't excuse what you did or said about Newtown. Okay, this is what news anchors are supposed to do. And Kelly used to do it all the time at Fox.
Correct. We're about to hit the commercial break, so I have to interrupt, but that's right. That's what journalists do. They ask hard, penetrating, fair questions. And based on that clip, that's what Megyn Kelly's doing. Now, of course, I haven't seen the rest of the interview, neither of you, but when someone dodges a question, there's a reason they're dodging it. And that I don't like. All right, rather than start this next piece from the Wall Street Journal, I'm going to wait. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. I think I'm going to present some Rush Limbaugh to you. And then we're going to hit some news, and then that will be it for Monday. But my friends, listen to me. Nothing wrong with asking questions. Nobody put a gun to Alex Jones' head and forced him to do an interview. He agreed to it. If you're going to do an interview, you got to ask questions. We'll take a break. Real Truth continues. Go nowhere.
We know our government is out of control. It's no longer our servant. It's become our master. Listen to me. Liberty Forum with the Freedom Rider will answer the question, what can we do? Our freedom and liberty is at stake. It's time to act. Those who have given everything for this country would expect no less. Tune in to the new Liberty Forum radio show Fridays at 9 a.m.
Now this is the testimony of John, the Jew sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, who are you? He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, I am not the Messiah. And they asked him, what then? Are you Elijah? He said, I am not. Are you the prophet? And he answered, no. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. The Patriot Trading Group is a different kind of gold and silver company, cleaning up the industry for 21 years. Are you tired of the high-pressure sales tactics, the constant phone calls? Are you done with the bait and switch? You just want to be treated fairly with honesty and respect? That's exactly what you get when you call 800-951-0592. You have my word on it. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. Check us out online at allamericangold.com.
My friends, there are slimeball fake news operations out there, and then in a special place by itself is the Washington Post, whose owner hates Donald Trump and targets him every single day. Here's Rush Limbaugh talking about the fact that the Post is trying to make this whole GOP baseball shooting go away, even though it's a major, major deal. Washington Post doesn't want to hear about it. Here's Rush.
10 o'clock last night, the top 5 most read articles at the Washington Post. Now, this is according to the Washington Post as well. The Washington Post could publish a fake list. This supposedly determined by computer hits. Washington Post readers clicking on stories. They've got a program that tabulates which stories are clicked on the most. They are considered to be thus read, so they have their top 5 most read articles. It's actually top 5 most clicked on, but who is splitting hairs? I want to read you those top 5 as of 10 o'clock last night. Number 1, special counsel investigating Trump for possible obstruction of justice, officials say. Number 2, an inferno seemingly from another time or place kills 12 in London. You believe that was the second most read story as of 10 o'clock last night on the Washington Post? Number 3, ISIS drones are attacking U.S. troops and disrupting airstrikes in Raqqa, officials say. Number 4, University of Virginia student Otto Warmbier is said to be in a coma, released in North Korea. By the way, I haven't heard his name pronounced. Is it Warmbier or Warmbier? Has anybody heard how they're pronouncing his name? Not a single person on my staff has heard this name. Okay, well, we'll get to it. It's W-A-R-M-B-I-E-R. Could say Warmbier, could be Warmbier, could be Warmbier. Who knows? I'm not purposely trying to mispronounce it, but I have an excuse. I never have the volume up. I just look at closed caption. Number 5. The NSA has linked the WannaCry computer ransomware worm to North Korea. The top 5 stories as of 10 o'clock last night, the Washington Post, not a single story about the shooting of Steve Scalise and the other members of the congressional team practicing baseball in Alexandria, Virginia. Do you believe that? Well, I didn't look at the Washington Post last night, so I don't know how many stories there were in the Washington Post about the shooting. What I do know is that the Washington Post and the New York Times and CNN and everybody else want to move on. They want to sweep this shooting story under the rug as quickly as they can until they can figure out a way to blame it on Scalise, which they're trying to do. People have forgotten. The Obama administration, as recently as 2015, was attacking Scalise as a supporter of the Ku Klux Klan because of a personal appearance he had made 20 years ago with David Duke. The Obama and Josh Earnest, the White House press secretary, was continuing to impugn Scalise as a sympathizer for the KKK. And this wacko, who is a mainstream liberal Democrat, Hodgkinson, believed it. And he was out there tweeting about it and Facebook posting about it. And posting cartoons of Scalise addressing hooded Klansmen. And it was the Obama administration pushing it. The New York Times today has a story blaming Sarah Palin for Hodgkinson shooting Scalise. Editorial story, I don't know, but what it is an attempt to harken back. Well, it's a lie. The New York Times has openly lied. They have dredged up a proven lie and published it again. The proven lie is that Jared Loughner, the shooter of Gabby Giffords, read Sarah Palin's website and saw a graphic of crosshairs on there as she was mentioning congressional districts Republicans need to target for political victory. And he got the idea to shoot Gabby Giffords, and we learned at the time that Loughner was not. I mean, he was insane. He was not politically oriented to the extent that he paid any attention. It was to left-wing politics. But he was simply, it was insane. The New York Times, in my estimation, this is actionable, what they've done today. To dredge up a proven lie, republish it as the reason Scalise was shot. The reason. Sarah Palin got all of this going by causing the shooting of Gabby Giffords, and this led to people like Hodgkinson doing what he did. None of this is in the top 5 most clicked on stories in the Washington Post as of 10 o'clock last night. How many of you would just believe that the Washington Post, their website yesterday, all day yesterday, if they had stories on the shooting, that story would not be widely read by Washington Post readers? Well, that's what they want us to believe. They want us to believe they had more people interested in the London Tower Inferno, which is a days-old story. There are more people interested in ISIS drones attacking U.S. troops and disrupting airstrikes in Raqqa. And that the NSA has linked the WannaCry ransomware computer worm to North Korea. All of those were far more interesting to Washington Post. See, I don't buy it. I think it's the Washington Post. Number one most read story, the special counsel investigating Trump for possible obstruction of justice. I think the Post wants to broom this whole shooting story.
I agree. I agree. Liberals are dangerous people. They're violent people. They're unthinking people. And this guy Hodgkinson is a perfect example, and so liberals don't want to be revealed to be what they are, and so, yes, the major media blowing it under the rug. Item from the Wall Street Journal, 16-year-old Madison's family clustered for a photo in a California courtroom commemorating the day it finally became official that she has 3 parents. The adults she calls Mom, Dad, and Mama were all there for her birth after the woman decided to have a child together and approached a male friend. They shared time with Madison, input raising her. You get the idea, right, my friends? 3 parents now. What do I think of next? We'll be back.
TLR Focus also wants you to remember your life began at conception and so does the life of every yet to be born person. Baby and mother both lose with 1 in 3 women against instinct and choose abortion. Former abortion doctor Nathan says people do not understand that there are thousands of serious physical complications from abortion every year. Post-abortion anxiety includes severe guilt, depression, stress, anxiety disorder, sleep disturbance, suicide, violent behavior, sterility, increased risk. International Journal of Epidemiology reported abortion increased breast cancer risk by 9%. Every publicity has the right to life, too. Life-giving messages sponsored by TLR Associates of Boulder, providing a job well done for your home with 9 stucco, stone, and brick. Call TLR Associates of Boulder, 303-921-3310. TLR Medallion branded stucco protection serves the Boulder and Northern Colorado area. If you're picking 1, 2, 5, or 4 nutritional supplements, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can find. Children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com, and now it's just 1 nutritional supplement instead of any. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with some of the most nutrient-dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body, it's a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity and is safe for you and your family. We're home and order your Bio Superfood formula at BioAge.com. Spell BioAge.com. BioAge.com. Or call 877-288-9116. 877-288-9116. BioAge.
Item from Breitbart, Wednesday's attempted baseball massacre by alleged shooter James Hodgkinson appears to be just the latest in a series of violent outbursts from the left. Here's a list of just some of those incidents to highlight a boiling climate of hate that's amplified dramatically during the 2016 election and President Donald Trump's run in office. Number 1, protesters attacked Trump supporters outside a rally in San Jose, California. 2, Trump fundraiser attacked. Number 3, terrorists firebombed GOP headquarters in North Carolina. 4, 15-year-old Trump supporter punched and kicked during high school anti-Trump protest. 5, blank Donald Trump, blank white people, quote unquote, was the message that was put out. Number 6, Antifa rioters lay waste to D.C. in response to Trump inauguration. 7, Antifa goes on rampage in Berkeley to protest Milo Yiannopoulos. 8, Antifa assaults Trump supporter with bike lock in Berkeley. 9, Antifa throws urine at anti-Sharia march. Number 10. Number 10. Where is number 10? No, it's 7. Okay, forget number 10. It's not it's not important. But here's how the piece ends. The list merely highlights significant incidents of leftist violence to illustrate the heightening divisions in the country, increasingly fractured on political fault lines. These divisions have grown to the point where it's not improbable that Wednesday's alleged shooter could have been influenced by partisan rhetoric to shoot up a congressional baseball game after rationalizing that, quote, it's time to destroy Trump and company. His attempts were met with praise on far-left corners of Twitter. These events and others have led commentators on both the right and the left to postulate whether America is perhaps in the beginning stages of a civil war. Item from Breitbart. Oslo city representatives have blamed 3 weeks of arson and violence against police by, quote, youths in the migrant-dominated Norwegian suburb of Stovner on young people feeling, quote, rootless and restless, unquote. District Director Elf Hornberstad Sorlund told Norwegian broadcaster NRK, quote, there's a general problem that many young people are out too late in the evenings, unquote. My friends, yeah, that's a problem, especially since a lot of those young people are carrying swords. But don't think for a minute that these guys are in denial. Heaven forbid. Item from Breitbart. Gay rights advocates have condemned the Trump Education Department for inviting groups that advocate for one man, one woman marriage to a Father's Day event. GLAAD and the Human Rights Campaign, which claimed to be inclusive, slammed the U.S. Education Department for inviting Family Research Council and Focus on the Family groups that support traditional marriage to participate in the panel of the Father's Day event. To provide taxpayer-funded platforms for these organizations is outrageous, the Human Rights Campaign said. Families in this country are increasingly diverse and include those with same-sex parents and those led by single parents. In the press release, GLAAD referred to FRC and Focus on Family as, quote, anti-LGBT hate groups, unquote. My friends, I don't want to say that the LGBT community is being overly dramatic, but they're being overly dramatic, and they're being stupid. Traditional family in America isn't going anywhere, no matter what other kinds of families some people can dream up. If they're not comfortable with it, they have a choice. Lots of other countries they can live in, or they can decide to be Americans. What are you betting they do? My friends, 23 hours from now, I'll be right here. I'll see you then. Hasta luego.